At this point in your career, how are you managing the expectations that you're putting on yourself?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of excitement, obviously, with it being a World Championship back in Canada on home soil in front of our own fans. It's obviously very exciting and something that we haven't actually been able to do in a while. And I think our mentality going into this tournament really, is the fact that, yeah, we've won gold medals in the past and we want to win another one. This is, a new group that we're bringing in. There are a lot of familiar faces, but we are a new team. We have new chemistry, we have new line combinations and things like that. So this is a team that's looking to bring home just another gold medal to Canada.
When we talk about women's hockey, I feel like we talk about it a little bit differently than we talk about men's hockey, because that is something that we're familiar with. We know the stories, we know where we're allowed to go, where we shouldn't go, whatever. With women's hockey, as it becomes more popular and more mainstream, it's just kind of like, there's probably places we're not going yet. There's probably stories we're not telling. And so again, from your perspective, is there anything we're missing as media that we should be talking about?
Yeah, I think it's a fine line, honestly, because obviously you want to get those stories of the players, and because our path to where we've gotten to today as elite hockey players is so different than, the men. And so our stories are so important to be told, but I think around game time is the biggest difference for me. Like when you watch a men's hockey game, they are talking about the hockey, they're talking about the product, the performance on the ice, when for us, they're not always talking about that. For us, they may be talking more about the stories and telling about, male family members that we're related to or things like that. And so after games, I get asked so much about how can we grow the sport? I get asked women's hockey questions, and not necessarily questions about the game. When you ask Austin Matthews about his game, you're going to ask him how the power play went, how he felt he was shooting, different things like that. We don't ask questions like that.
Yeah, I feel like there needs to come a time where it's not that it stops becoming inspirational, but it's just kind of like, when do we get past the point of just like, we're done with the breaking barrier questions. We're done with this. We're just talking about the sport. And so I think that's what I've been thinking a lot about lately. It's like, hey, but what do they want us to see? Because I just feel like maybe there's a grittiness we're not like getting into like we get in with the men's sport.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, like, we obviously want to inspire the next generation of girls. We want to see females be so empowered and be able to play sports and be confident in playing sports and understand that there's a place for them in athletics. It's not just a male-dominated space. And so it's a very fine line again, but at the end of the day, we're going to have to get to that point where, women's hockey is not like a charity case. We're not trying to string along the next gen. Like they are here, they're ready, and they know. You don't have to tell little girls that they can be hockey players. Like they know. Talk to any one of them. Talk to any minor hockey player. Like they know. And so I think it definitely the narrative needs to be changed a little bit.
Yeah. I want to talk about this group of women coming into this tournament because it's really unique. The fact that you guys, in the PWHPA have been playing together as teammates and now suddenly are becoming rivals again. And so I'm curious if there is some sort of like complex dynamic or like a flip you need to switch where it's like, that was then, but this is now. What is it like heading into that? With that context?
Yeah, it's been a super interesting season, obviously, because you build relationships with these girls. You get to play with them, you get an appreciation for them as athletes and see how they train, how they play. Like I was line mates with Amanda Kessel a few weeks back, and I just have such an appreciation for how smart she is, her hockey IQ. But now we have to again flip the switch and I play against her. And I think the best example of that was we were all in Ottawa before Christmas, and obviously we're all playing together, we're all on the same teams intermixed, and we were headed out to Las Vegas to play in the rivalry series. And as soon as we got to the airport, it was like we went one way and Team USA went the other way, and that was it. We were done for the next week. Even though we are friends, we're cordial off of the ice, but when it comes down to tournaments like these and games like these, there's a lot of pride on the line, and these are the games and the rivalries we get up for. And so definitely a switch has been flipped.
Yeah. And now, do you feel like you were talking about Amanda Kessel, do you learn more from a player like her when you do get to play alongside her, or when you're playing against her and learning, her style that way?
I think when you play with a player, when you get to train with somebody, you get to see the little intricacies of their game and how they think. I actually found myself and her, we think the game very similarly. And had I not played with her, I never, ever would have thought that. And so I definitely think getting to be with somebody, and obviously, you know, competing in practice and things like that is absolutely awesome. But getting to play with somebody, it brings a new level of appreciation for them.
Let's say there were a hypothetical league that was about to be announced, maybe soon, maybe you're involved, maybe you're not, whatever, it's hypothetical. What would you want to see from this league to know that hockey is moving forward in a really positive direction? Because I think we can sit here and objectively say, we know that hockey has some pretty deeply rooted systemic issues. And if this new league were to be coming up, I think it's important to know that we're all pushing hockey in the right direction. So what would you want to see to know that we're combating these issues and we are creating a space that is not only going to feel inclusive and welcoming to the players, but to fans and to anybody who wants to enjoy hockey? What would you want to see?
Yeah, I think in a women's professional hockey league, the standard of excellence needs to be a completely inclusive environment, but a professional one as well. Something that people will look to and have a lot of respect for. And I know getting to interact with our fans and the community, we've had so many of them come up to us and say, like, you make us feel so welcome. Like, we feel like there's a place in hockey for us here that we've been lacking on the men's side, to be completely transparent. And that obviously makes you feel very good, but in the same breath, you want them to feel inclusive everywhere, included everywhere, excuse me. But honestly, just that standard of professionalism from a player's perspective, like if you win a championship on Sunday, you don't have to get up Monday morning and go to work, right? And there's just a huge disparity from that standpoint in terms of, you know, not only compensation, but I mean like support staff, medical services, resources. When you talk about marketing, broadcasting, like there are so many disparities and inequalities that we have to face that, you know, men's sports don't. And so I think from that perspective, it's pretty big.
And lastly, for me, we're back playing this tournament at home. What are you looking forward to most?
I'm looking forward to seeing a ton of young fans in the stands, boys and girls who are looking to see Team Canada play really amazing hockey. I think it's a privilege that we get to play in front of our country, our family and friends, and you know, people get a front row seat to being able to see us play the best hockey.